got up, made some coffee, drank said coffee, immediately had to shit, went to go wipe my ass and realized this is a source my shoulders have been in a long time. And it was from the dumbest workout. But it had two things going for it. There were movements that my body wasn't used to, and I had an incredible connection. So today we're going to go over that exact shoulder workout and how to take those two principles and turn any shoulder workout into a winner. Let's get after it. So no one's ever proud of or wants to admit when they have a half-assed workout, but let's face it, life happens. In this particular case, I was up all night the night before filming, so I got no sleep, busy with the dogs the entire next day. So by the time we got to the gym, it was late the next night, and I tried everything. Tried to snort a few lines of pre-workout, no effect. I even tried that trick when you're on a road trip and you're nodding off, so you start pulling out leg hairs, try to snap out of it, nothing. But my ego was too strong to go home, so I told my wife, you know what? Even more than ever, we're going to focus on using different angles and really just trying to get that connection. And unlike that time in a Mexico bar where I tried to arm wrestle everybody, chanting USA, and then try to turn around and get my friends involved and realized I was by myself, this is one of those cases that having an ego really worked out because I added a few exercises to my list of favorites, and I didn't end up in a jail in Mexico with nothing but a jar of mayonnaise, so it was a big win. So if you've seen any of my videos in the past, you know that for posterior delts, I'm a huge fan of rotations, either done at a 45-degree angle to work against gravity, or sitting nice and tall, working against no gravity, and in spite of what some people think, that's still a phenomenal exercise for your rear delts. You don't believe me? If you're sitting at home watching this while you're taking a shit, just tuck your elbows into your side and rotate those hands back and flex as hard as you can. You'll find that the thing that contracts the most are those rear delts. But in this particular workout, I didn't trust myself wielding two dumbbells. So instead, I set up a bench on a steep incline, used that hand closest to it to support myself, and then lean against it. What that allowed me to do is do rotations where I'm parallel to the floor, but as I get closer to the top, I can lean against that bench and rotate even more to open up that shoulder, creates a more intense contraction. And as good as that one was, this one was even better because I set up like a normal T with that palm supinated and you come right out to the side. But instead of doing that, you follow the contraction of your rear delt, which will bring you a little bit more back and down. And this one lights you up.
That's actually true, to some degree. But he still is not in optimal form. So those of you who have been following me for longer than a minute, you know that sensation does not equal results. In that video, he says that he felt like he hadn't been so sore in a very long time from doing a shoulder workout that was very unique to what he normally does. But that doesn't mean that it actually was working his deltoid. So let's break down shoulder anatomy real quick. So as we can see in this photo, the shoulder itself, the shoulder muscle, your deltoid, covers all of these teeny tiny muscles right here, which on this side you can see much more clearly. All of these small muscles have insertion points either in the upper portion of the joint of the shoulder or in your upper arm. And when we add in scapular rotation, we're definitely going to be getting some rhomboid activation too. And we got to remember the lats will activate too depending on the direction of your upper arm because your lats insert into the upper arm. And the traps are going to be responsible for some of those rotational movements as well. So in this video, we see him do a movement with a bent arm and then another movement similar to this with a straightened arm. And when we break this down, you can see that rear delt is actually popping, but he's got scapular rotation going on. He actually overemphasizes that movement. He's rotating up. So the teres muscles are going to be activating. The infraspinatus is going to be activating, and they are probably primary movers here. And the rhomboid is going to be activating. Those are all going to be taking up the majority of that movement over the rear delt. And in this clip, we can see that he did actually get the angle right. You can see that rear delt popping again. Angle is very important for rear delt work, but he overemphasizes this movement. So now we have a ton of scapular work going on. And again, the teres muscle, the infraspinatus muscle, those are all extremely activated in this movement because it's not just his shoulder joint that is moving here. And the rhomboids are taking a ton of this movement. So again, I want to emphasize, just because you may feel like it's hitting a certain muscle does not mean that it actually is. All of these teeny tiny muscles right here that go underneath the deltoid, those are likely what he was feeling when he had that soreness. Does this mean that those moves are bad for working the shoulder? Not at all. All of those muscles aid in stabilizing the shoulder joint along with various other joints in your body. So having those muscles strong is going to still be important for the majority of your pulling movements. but not a single one of those movements would I consider movements that target the deltoid. That all said, I think this guy is a wonderful creator, and he frequently gives awesome advice. He's somebody that I follow, so that should say a lot. And I am very picky about the people that I follow because I want good, accurate information. But that doesn't mean that 100% of the time the people I pay attention to are giving that. Just like for me, I'm not 100% of the time giving the most accurate information, but I do my best. And when I screw up, I hope somebody calls me out for it too. Because I'm in this life to learn new things. And when I learn new things, then I can help the people who follow me to learn new things as well. So things to consider when you're trying to break down a movement and understand the way that the body works. Take a look at fiber alignment. You can see how those fibers run in a straight line there. That's going to help you to break down the movement because we want to do movements that allow for our bodies to move in that alignment of the muscle fiber. That is going to aid in biasing that muscle. And as we can see, the fibers in your shoulder, your deltoid, they run up and down along that shoulder joint. They're not doing too much side to side. So even though the rear deltoid does angle a little bit in, that angle is very slight. So when I'm trying to hit my rear delts, I will pick a movement similar to this cable movement right here where I can control the angle well and stabilize well. And that angle's nice for hitting the rear delt. Sure, the smaller muscles will be activating, but it's not as much as the actual rear delt. What also activates the rear delts is pull movements, like this, and this, and these. The one thing to remember for optimal rear delt activation, though, is that you're trying to keep your shoulder stabilized and not allow for scapular rotation. A little bit of scapular rotation is fine, but you are going to be working other muscles in conjunction with the rear delt. And they're going to be doing more than just basic stabilization. They are actually actively moving because the scapula is moving. But if you're doing your pull exercises, if you're doing your back work, your rear delts are getting a lot of activation out of that. So having isolated rear delt work may not be the most necessary thing for you to do. Some people may have smaller rear delts and they may want to bring those up, and that's when you start to throw in more rear delt exercises. But not everybody needs to focus on that. Anyways, that's my take. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. And if you found this video useful, please give me a follow.